Yeah. But neon out the mud. Before I get it out the mud, I stay on top of my fitness and hit the shower, clean it up, and then get back to the business. I don't care about who did it, I ain't worried who didn't. I head directly to the back, so I'll be there in a minute. I got expensive taste, the rollie got a different face. For surely I be in them places, they won't let you pass the gate. Post it up, sipping $1,000 scotches with the rock in it.
Let's go have some fun.
The camera adds 10 pounds and 4 inches, dude.
Is that what happened to your shirt?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Somebody took a picture. And
That camera added about 30 pounds. Holy shit, dude.
Are we locked
That
in?
happened last week. I was telling the story, and I'm ordering a coffee. I didn't have my, I had a vest on, but it was open. Hey, I'm ordering my coffee. All of a sudden, the button goes boom, 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 3 in a row, and the girl's like,
Shots fired.
hey. I was like, yeah, and no sugar, 1 milk.
I'll just take my coffee black today.
Hold the breakfast sandwich. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
little
All right, let's go.
medication,
Yeah.
dude.
We got episode 24 of the How You Doing show. We got John from Kindly Baked Confections. John, how you doing today?
Doing all right. Feeling great. Thank you.
Rick, how you doing?
How you doing?
John, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Rob, glad
All
to
right, good.
see
Let's
you
get right
back,
into
dude.
it.
You've been really,
No, Rob's ready
Rob,
to
you've been
fire.
really quiet the past couple episodes, dude. I'm a little disappointed. Glad
Get
to
right
see
into
you
it
back,
here. We got
dude.
John from Kindly Baked Confections, no GMO, vegan,
Vegan and gluten free.
and gluten free.
That's correct.
We'd like to hear all about it.
I'd say probably close to 4 years, give or take. You know, the idea had been in my head for quite a long time, and I had hired some people to work directly below me to do all the baking and all this once because I didn't realize that I could do it all myself.
Well, you had a full-time job, or
Well, no, I was doing other things, as a middleman, and then, I figured I didn't have time to do this. You know what I mean? So I didn't put my focus into it. So I hired somebody who was really great at baking, and unfortunately that didn't work out. So I tried another person, and it was the same instance. Either it was greed or the consistent in quality wasn't where I would
well,
want
you
it.
know that nobody is you.
Well, I learned that now. Certainly. Unfortunately,
So are bakers like chefs? A little prima donna action going on? No disrespect to all
Well,
the
not
chefs
at all.
out there,
You know what I
because I
mean?
love all the food, and the buttons can speak for themselves.
I'm just a home baker that's doing it right, and that's how I feel about it. I feel like everybody should be doing what I do. And unfortunately, there's too many folks who are cutting corners and doing things the wrong way.
How did you get into this?
Well, my love of baking, it came from my grandmother. When I was a kid, she was a pretty well-known baker. in
What was your
Worcester.
grandmother's best dish she made?
Oh, brother.
He's
I know, 100 miles an hour.
Didn't even let you finish.
He's got
one
some-
of
he's
those
got
questions.
some- he's
My
got
gra-
some-
I'm talking about your grandmother first.
My grandmother, Marjorie Madison, was in Worcester, known for her birthday cakes for Barbie doll cakes. So they would lop a Barbie doll in half and put it in a giant bun pan and then decorate it. Looked like a dress. So that was her claim to fame, but she would really make anything. My grandmother's old school. So even if you want to just Play-Doh, we didn't buy it. My grandmother made that.
You made Play-Doh?
That's correct. I make it for my kids.
What's in Play-Doh?
Just flour and then just a few other ingredients. It's very
Really?
simple. Absolutely. And just some food dye. Yeah. My kids never had store-bought Play-Doh in the very end of,
With all the
Oh,
toxic
shit.
chemicals.
Dude, it is so much garbage and all that. Man, it really is. It's so easy to make. You just heat it up over the stove and, and just put it in the fridge and leave it. And then after that, it's
That'd
good
have
for
benefited Trevor so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
feel
eating
less-
Play-Doh, eating lead, dude. Look at you. Look how you turned out, dude. Just think about it. You had like
Back to
7
your
more brain
grandmother.
cells.
She was a great cook.
She was an amazing baker and cook. That is correct.
What
What was
nationality?
her best dish?
Well, we're mutts.
Fuck.
So nationalities, it's probably a little bit of everything, to be honest with you.
What was her best dish?
Her best dish was the Barbie doll cake.
So you said you tried hiring somebody to bake the cakes for you.
Twice.
But that wasn't your first start in the business, was it? Have you always been around cannabis,
been
doing
around
baking, or were you more of a flour guy before?
I've been around cannabis since the age of 13, and off and on doing various jobs. It wasn't until recently, the time I told you that, I felt like there were a lot of communities that were under, represented. Folks who are celiac or, somebody who goes into a dispensary, for instance, says, listen, I've got cancer and I have all these issues I need to deal with. What do you have to help me out? And unfortunately, not many of them have those answers for them, or they'll feed them lies and bullshit. You know, so my goal is to be able to provide a medicinal product for people where they can, you know, get relief, you know, and have actual proper experiences like they should.
When you start again going down the road of the edibles, did you, because it seems like you jumped off, did you just go right in for vegan, non-GMO?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was because
or was there an instance of circumstance that happened that made you go that way, down that road?
it's because I have friends who have celiac or have certain restrictions and dietary issues in which they needed these things and they weren't being represented. I mean, not everybody wants to eat a gummy bear for the rest of their life to be able to medicate. You know, that's not fair to them. You know, so my idea was like, why can't I just make something that everybody can have? So even though it's gluten-free and vegan, folks who are used to conventional items, like you guys enjoyed all my items tonight. You know,
Oh, they were fantastic.
So
Still enjoying them.
that's my goal. So everybody can have. My goal is inclusivity. I want everybody to be able to enjoy it, but also receive a medicinal benefit at first.
Wow, sounds about right. So, where'd you go to school? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Worcester, you know, and after that, all the bad cities, you know. So pretty much Somerville, then Chelsea, Lynn, Revere, you know what I mean? I've moved around a lot when I was a kid.
So, where do you see this going with these edibles?
With mine or edibles in general?
You know, with your edibles.
With mine, I'm going to take over the entire industry. That's my goal.
I really
I'm
hope so.
going to show people how it's supposed to be done. And I don't care if I don't become successful. If I can get one or two people to replicate what I do, I would be so proud to have that happen.
Really?
You know, absolutely. You know, there's not enough people doing what I do. You know what I mean? Now they're all starting to do vegan gummies, but the world is so much more. Who wants to eat a gummy forever? That's boring.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
what I
mean?
was saying. You can only eat so many gummies a
That's
day.
correct. Variety is the spice, man. It really is. You know what I mean? So we can do milligrams lower, higher. You know what I mean? Not only, you know, can you get something wonderful and healthy, but at the same time, you can dose it to your, you know, your specific needs.
So how do you go about giving somebody a dosage that doesn't need them? Like I don't eat them. Whoa, looks like I just did. How do you start? Like, hey, have one brownie. Like what's the starting?
So are you
dosage?
thinking about stop picking it up, Rick?
I don't
sir,
think about
to
it.
be honest with you-
those things were good, dude. I couldn't
Well,
even tell
you had the brownie
difference.
brittle. My brownies, I would never suggest a newbie eat them. Those are the dick and the dirt brownies, which are 80 milligrams in general, unless you ask for something different. But generally, we always use the saying, you can eat more, you can never eat less. You know, so you start small. You know, where my cookies are 20 milligrams, I strongly recommend that everybody start at 5 milligrams. See where it gets you. You know, everybody's different. Our bodies work differently. So just try
Does it go by weight as well?
No,
I'm a
everybody's
big dude. I
different.
might
So-
have to start at 50 so I
no,
can feel something.
good luck with that, man. You know what I mean? You will be a puddle and or zombie, and I won't feel bad
puddle.
for you. Yeah. You know, you didn't listen to instructions. Add you to the list.
What are some of the edibles you make?
Well, I make a lot of different things. To be honest with you, my claim to fame, my first start was the chocolate chip cookie. I make probably 5-6 varieties of cookies. Cake jars I've been doing now, cannoli, cream jars. I do birthday cakes, you know, muffins, cupcakes.
Yeah, the muffins were very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, man. So my,
And that happened by accident, kind of,
happy
right?
accident, my friend. You know, the way I tell the story is I thought I messed up the recipe. So I looked at the instructions, you know, what I created for myself. And it turns out I did. I messed up the proportions. So I was about to throw everything away. And though me being the stoner that I am, I said to myself, well, let me try it. And oh my God, I ate this thing and it was like if a muffin or cookie fucked and had a baby.
good?
It was delicious.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, everything
Yeah, it was
had
really
What flavor
good.
was
Yeah,
it?
I had
chocolate
one.
chip.
Chocolate chip muffin, but it was like cookie doughish almost. It was like
Listen,
gushy.
everybody
stuff.
likes muffin.
Rob,
Yeah, man.
absolutely, Rob, you're absolutely amazing. Trevor gave me one. I took a piece. I was like, I'm gonna have it back later, and my boy fucking buried it, dude.
Yeah, I didn't let him eat it.
There's nothing like watching somebody at one of my events, like at my booth, eating them, and then their eyes light up. I was like, tell everybody waiting in line what you're seeing or you're tasting right now, you know? Something.
So you don't grow. Where do you get your concentrates, and what type of concentrate do you use in your edibles?
Well, I only use F.E.C.O, which is full extract cannabis oil. It is whole plant medicine. It's really the way it should be again. I don't get it from Massachusetts, unfortunately, because I haven't found a provider that can do it the right way for me. You know?
So you travel to get it?
Absolutely, I do.
Probably me.
What's the difference between FE.C.O, rosin, or
Well, hash
RSO?
rosin is material that is from material that has been freshly frozen, and then they create bubble hash from it, and then they press it using heat and pressure. RSO is a material similar to mine, but is hot extracted, so it tends to have a plant material and a taste in it, and it's actually it's much darker. Versus the F.E.C.O I
Darker.
have, you know what I mean? You can actually hold it up to a light, and it's very amber. It's beautiful. And honestly, whoever's had my vanilla cookies or coconut cookies tonight, you didn't even taste cannabis in it. And there's a reason why. It's because it's that clean.
Well, that's why I'm asking. What's the purpose between not using rosin or RSO? Why do you choose F.E.C.O?
Because it's the whole plant medicine. Whereas most dispensaries and vendors in the gray market tend to use distillate, which is a derivative of cannabis. So they take a THC product, something that is a beautiful whole plant, and bastardize it by taking one piece out and give it to you for a lot of money. It's insane. So whole plant medicine combined with the vegan and gluten-free ingredients I'm giving you is nothing more all natural in the market today. It's something different.
No shit.
So when people first started making these, right, the brownies, it was always the brownies and cookies. What'd they take? They used to take like flour, crush it up, and just throw it in there, right?
Certainly. When we were all young and dumb, before we learned about decarbing, and I didn't even hear about that till I was like 22, and I had gone to Amsterdam for the very first time, right? So, back in the day, the hippies used to crunch up the grass and then throw it inside the brownies, and they all said they felt something. How it worked for them, I'm not really sure. I think it was a placebo effect, but I don't know. I wasn't there. So I think what we've got today is a much more refined process in which we can definitely monitor your dosaging properly. So we're all getting the same.
So when you use the F.E.C.O, it decarbs when you're baking, right?
It's already ready to go. So I just add it to my oils at a certain temperature, and it binds to it. Yeah.
Well, I see the difference right here with the you can see through the oil.
Yeah.
The RSO, you can't see through it
That is correct.
because you do a cold process and you don't kill the plant.
Well, the person I get it from uses a cold extraction method, and using food grade ethanol. And that alone allows it to snatch out all that plant material. And, the test results I have received from entering competitions have proven the quality as well as my ability to be able to dose properly.
So you won competitions.
Absolutely. So last year I won first place at Any Can Boston 2024 for my coconut cookie with coconut macaroon with raspberry preserves. The year previous, I won third place for my chocolate dipped coconut macaroon.
I didn't know third place was a winner. No, no, he's like, I won third place.
You know what I mean?
What was it, coconut what?
How many did you win, Trevor?
Yeah, right.
Coconut what?
Trevor usually gets participation.
Yeah.
You talk about the third place was for a chocolate dipped coconut macaroon. That's what I won third place for in 2023 at Any Can Cup.
Edibles.
That's correct. Yes. And then this year, I won the first place in the 2024. We're going to enter again, of course, 2025 and destroy everybody.
You got
That's our
something
goal.
new coming out, or
I don't need something new. Somebody here tonight ate
you going to Old Betsy?
I'm going to bring out a Dick in the Dirt brownie to the competition. Let all these guys try to beat that. It's not going to happen. I'm going to medicate it to the proper dosaging, but the flavor, nobody's going to be able to touch. Everything's going to be stale.
The flavor is it.
It's going to be just chocolate.
So
nice
competition,
fudgy brownie.
So in competition, does the dosage have to be a certain amount?
That is correct. Last year, I want to say it was 50 milligrams total. So again, it plays to I normally do 80 milligrams, but your ability to be able to dose it on point is key. Because if you're plus minus, you're automatically out. If you fail for pesticides or any other heavy metal stuff, you're out.
You're out.
Absolutely. You won't even know it. You know what I mean? It's just, I got my results at the very end. So I won. I was shocked. I was very proud, but to get the results at the end, it confirms everything.
So other than just to check a box to say you're non-GMO, non-vegan, do you still use sugar, or is it a special type of sugar, or what are these ingredients? Do they actually make a difference for taste, or for longer life, or
vegan sugars? So it has to be something that's naturally occurring that doesn't require plant. I'm just trying to think of the proper word. It doesn't require animal labor to go into it. So honey is not vegan. I cannot use that. Okay, so I use cane sugar that is not used. They use this thing called bone char. It's an animal byproduct.
So non-processed sugar.
It is processed. It's just not processed using something called bone char, which is an animal byproduct that allows it to be, stripped out and turn it white. I also use coconut sugar, and that's for multiple reasons. Coconut sugar is something that for diabetics like my grandmother, who used to be a great baker, which she would eat everything. And unfortunately, that's not good for somebody who is diabetic to be eating lots of sugar, right?
right?
So
they kind of frown upon that.
That is certain. So I use coconut sugar, and what it doesn't spike your glycemic index. So they can have a little bit more, even though they shouldn't be eating these sweets. They can have a little bit more, and if that helps them medicate, then so be it. I think about everything. Even the cinnamon I use in my products isn't normal cinnamon like everybody would normally eat. You know, I use something called Ceylon cinnamon. It's from the inside of the plant.
There's
From,
different types
India.
of cinnamon.
That's correct. There's the outside, which we're all used to, and that's the cheap stuff, and then the real expensive, good stuff is on
India.
the inside. So,
Organic.
yes, that's correct. Most of my items are
No
organic.
pesticide, nothing.
No. See, I'm very careful. I mean, there are people who are sick that are requiring medication. Do you really want to eat something that's pesticides and garbage? I know you guys have talked in many episodes about heavy metals and all these things. I'm a part of that, the people that believe that it is actually horrible and it's detrimental to us to get it out of our system.
Oh, absolutely.
So with you operating in the gray market and you're picking up products and, you know, obviously from some guy that you get it from, how can they say that with the legal market, there's supposed to be tests with the products? How can you guarantee your consumers that it's not coming from pesticides? Does your guy provide you testing or do you just...
If I ask for it, correct, yes. You know, but also when I win the awards, when I enter these contests, they do tests. So it validates, one, my testing. It also validates my dosaging. You know, so everything is correct the way it should be.
Okay.
Do you test all your materials before, obviously, you use them?
I don't need to. You know, when I'm using the same strain every single time, the results are exactly the same. You know what I mean?
So is your guy a grower, the guy you go see, so you know...
He's a processor. You know what I mean? And then he has people that work for him that grow specific strains for us.
Okay.
Have you ever worried, though, he has a bad batch?
Well, honesty is, is important in our field. You know what I mean? There are too many liars out there, you know, so you have to know to ask the right questions. You know what I mean? What's going on? You know what I mean? Has this been tested, you know?
That's what I'm saying. How can you offer, you know, safer product than the supposedly legal market? You know, or the same kind of...
I also don't irradiate anything, you know?
Right,
you know,
right. Usually a street guy doesn't have a radiation machine in his house.
I provide all the ingredients and everything I have for everybody. You know, I believe in transparency, and I always tell people at a show or somewhere, if you grab an item and you have a question, reach out to me directly. All right, I have all the answers. You know what I mean? I created this for everybody for a reason. You know, it's my job to know it all.
So this is so operating in the gray market. It's obviously a lot of trust involved, right, with the people you're dealing with.
Well,
who you getting the product from?
That is correct. You know what I mean? It's loyalty and honor is a big important thing for me as well. You know what I mean? So if you're in my circle, you're to be trusted.
So you feel comfortable saying that you can give your consumers, you know, because obviously operating in the gray area, you can give them the same quality of cleanliness and a safer product as they can going into the store and save them a couple dollars.
No, he says give them a better product.
And safe.
100% better.
And just as safe, right?
Yeah,
Say it's
absolutely. You know what I mean? I would never give you something I wouldn't put in my mouth.
Your where do you meet most of your customers?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Instagram, you know, events, trade shows, you know what I mean? Just being out and about. I pass out so many cards and stickers to everybody I meet. You know what I mean? If you just look like, you know, you might be hip, I'll hook you up. You know what I mean? Maybe it turns out you're not. Just give it to a friend. Let them know that somebody's doing vegan and gluten-free. You know?
If anybody's listening, what type of area, you know what I mean? Where
I'm just north of Boston. You know what I mean? So we do local pickup, but you can always follow us on Instagram, and you can see where we're vending at.
What's your Instagram app?
It's kindly_baked_confections.
You have to help him spell the last word there.
Yeah.
Kindly underscored what?
Baked.
I told you.
And then another underscore. And the word,
B-A-K-E-D.
and the word confections.
C-O-N-fection.
What he said. That sounds about right.
Yeah, send it.
Eventually, well, what I'd like to see is myself to have like a bakery that does exactly what a dispensary does, but not doing what a dispensary does. You know what I mean? Same system, different ideas. You know what I mean? Ever evolving recipes. You know what I mean? If you say, hey, John, I need a birthday cake. You know what I mean? I can do it right now for you, but it would be nice to have a, excuse me, a dispensary in which you can go and just tell them you need a birthday cake, some muffins for a party. You know what I mean? You have an event.
Get this dose, this, that.
That's correct. Or not at all. You know what I mean? I have people that are clients that actually enjoy my stuff without milligrams. You know, they want it with no dose. That's how good my stuff is, believe it or not.
So, John, do you have like a storefront or anything else like that right now?
No.
You ever think about getting one?
Operate in the gray area. You got no storefront.
Listen, he could have.
Fuck, Ricky, you just want to
Listen, he could have
So
a
you
store.
can make a rum cake?
If you told me you wanted one, there's a very real chance I'll put it on my list and eventually learn how to make it.
Well, the stuff is so good, right, that you can sell it clean, and then the people and have a storefront, and the people that want a little stuff in, you can be like, hey, you want?
Yeah.
Dude, my boys
Yeah,
are
man.
So as soon as
Have
I do
it on
that,
the back
as soon as I
room,
do
you know what I
that,
mean? You just need
I
a
would
locked
be
room.
shut down.
You
know
can
what I
do
mean?
you can do a storefront with like a speakeasy in the back.
Ricky obviously clearly never sold drugs before in his entire
So
life.
are you gonna go legit with it?
Well, I would love to. I would love for me to have a spot in Massachusetts, but unfortunately, like I said, after speaking to some folks, I'm not sure it can happen anytime soon. You know what I mean? Because I have something that nobody else have. I have something unique and special. We're trend setting. You know, nobody else is doing what we're doing. So I would love to do something in Massachusetts. Nope. There are some people that are doing pieces of it. Okay, so there's a joint up in Maine named Medical Delights, who I had the fortunate time to visit them the other day on Monday. They are making some special treats up there. Now, is everything vegan and gluten free? No, they do a little bit of everything. So they sell flour, they sell dabs. I don't want to do any of that. All right.
Not the same.
They medical or rec up there, Maine.
Oh, it depends on where. I think that place is actually both.
Okay.
You know?
It's not the same what you are doing.
No, it is not the same because my focus is gluten-free, vegan, period. And I would do conventional after that. My goal is to take care of the medical people first. You know what I mean?
So you think one of the setbacks to enter the legal market here in Mass is the dollar amount to get into it? pretty much?
Regulations.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of regulations. To be honest with you, that isn't really my field of expertise. You know what I mean? I feel, honestly, especially after being in November, we were in Northeast Leaf magazine. As a legacy person, it's pretty amazing, you know, to have ourselves in there. And they're the ones who called us trendsetters. You know, and they did a great job with
they
our
called
article.
you.
Yes, you know, at least I paraphrase, but that's essentially what the article said. You know,
The other's it.
you know, we're doing something again different than everybody else is doing. I feel like it's only going to take one person to see this interview or just talk to me one time and just feel that spark of passion and inspiration that I have and learn what I have to bring to the table. We can do something together. You know, I just got to find that one person, and I'm waiting, and I will wait. You know, there's no substandard person I would work
So
with.
this could be really big.
It potentially can be. You know what I mean? We can
Well,
bring
he's
it all
taking
over.
over the world. Didn't you say that
I
earlier?
want to bring it
Absolutely.
everywhere, man. You know, I want to go to Spain. I want to go all over the world in which they have, you know, cannabis legal. I feel like there's something different in what we're doing again.
Have you thought about going to Spanibus this year?
I would love if I could afford it. You know, listen, if somebody wants to sponsor me to go and I'll go there and do a demonstration, feel free. But it's a bit out of my friggin' price
Yeah.
right now.
So every day you work on this?
Pretty much every day. There isn't a day that if I'm sitting home and I don't have a custom order due or I have an event popping up, I take an idea like your rum cake and I run with it. I have all my friends, you know, who happen to be gluten free and or vegan, and when they come over the house, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Do you know I made chocolate pudding from scratch? I have never in my life had it from scratch, and I made it myself. It was amazing, and it was
You
vegan.
used the coca, a little sugar.
It's cornstarch,
A
coconut,
little coca.
cocoa powder, cornstarch, and I think it's I'm trying to think of the other materials. Is it
Gelatin.
almond? Is almond milk with I used in that as well. It was wonderful. It was better than any box you could ever get. You know, I want to start using that with some cake stuff. I'm telling you, it'd be pretty nice.
So what's on the bench right now?
Oh,
That hasn't been out yet.
honestly, I've been pushing hardcore with my cake jars. You know, what I mean? As you guys had my chips and dips, I brought tonight I debuted here. So what
Yeah,
that
they
is-
were wonderful.
So that is
Yeah, the strawberry.
it's a
with the
brownie
chocolate.
brittle. And what I do with that is I make a cannoli cream, a vanilla one, and as well as a strawberry one that I came up with. And you just use them like chips and dip, you know, just like old school tortilla chips and salsa. You know, I've been wanting to do that for a while. So that's actually a brand new thing I brought here tonight. You know, I have been messing with the cannoli creams a little bit. I want to make a cake. My birthday, I want somebody to order birthday cake with cannoli cream. That's my goal. soon.
Birthday cakes.
Yeah, I do birthday cakes. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty high right now on the weed.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, I had a couple of them cookies. They tasted very good. Had a little touch of cinnamon in there in them chocolate chip cookies.
The chocolate chip cookies have just a touch of cinnamon. It really offsets it. Really does.
Yeah.
Do you sell a lot of the virgin stuff?
Not as much as I would medicated, but yeah, actually, it's pretty amazing to have the support that I have from my community. Yeah,
Oh, you sell virgin too? You don't?
absolutely. Yeah, you know what I mean, why wouldn't I? You know, they taste that great. You know?
Oh, then you could get a storefront. If
Yeah,
you're doing a
that's
little
what I
half
was
and half
saying.
legit.
I had somebody that asked
That's
me
what I was saying.
to cater their kid's birthday party, and I did that for them. You didn't,
Right.
No dose.
no,
You,
of
yeah.
course. Yeah.
Right. And then you got a separate room.
Well-
I'll invest in that. I'll invest in that all day long. The storefront with a back room.
Why
But
you were
what's-
happy with the brownie?
Oh, that
brittle
was
and the-
amazing. They were amazing.
Yeah, I like the strawberry.
There goes the diet, dude.
That brownie brittle can be dosed at any level if you chose to. I bring
That could be dangerous.
Oh, they're all dangerous, man. You
No, like
because
really dangerous.
I usually got to tell people sorry, not sorry type of thing because it tastes good and there's such small bites that everybody just wants to eat more and more. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Jeff didn't care. He whacked down at 80 milligram right off the rep.
Is that the guy drooling over there? Yep.
No, he's not drooling. My boy, he's a veteran.
Fucking
Veteran doctor.
Yeah.
My boy
Yeah,
doing
he
the
had a dick in the
moonwalk
dirt,
over
Brian.
there.
That was impressive.
Everybody was happy with all the gear you brought tonight.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, what are some of the big events that you do? Is that where you get most of the interactions with people and
Pretty much.
and education?
That's
and,
correct. So when I'm at events, I have two goals in mind. You know, it isn't just about sales, all right? So I want to tell people, I got to educate people. That's my goal. Is if I'm busy, I always have somebody working with me. You know, while I'm talking to somebody and telling them or explaining to them how things work. And I love stories of people like, oh, I don't eat edibles because I had a bad experience. Tell me about it. Tell me what happened. Where'd it come from? What'd you eat? You know what I mean? If the questions I don't know or from a friend or some bullshit like that, I ask them to give me a chance. I'll give them something free. You know what I mean? Because I want them to have a proper experience, especially if they need it medicinally. You know what I mean? Somebody should be able to help them out, and that's my goal.
So when you take F.E.C.O, that you said it's the same thing as RSO but without the heat.
It's not the same thing in regards to it's a similar material, but it's actually, well, like I said, the cold extraction allows it to have less plant material in it, so
Okay.
it doesn't affect the flavor.
So do you still have to decarb it after that?
Not at all. No, it's ready to go.
Huh. But I thought you had to heat it up for edibles to decarb it.
Well,
for it
not
able
with
to
that
work.
material. No,
Oh, not with.
that's correct. RSO doesn't need to be decarved either.
Okay. No shit.
Learn
I
new
didn't
things
know
every
that.
day.
See, I'm not an edible guy, and I never did edibles. You know what I mean? Just like
Well, that's why you had me on here today. to help us
recently,
all, you know?
recently, I've been a flower guy my whole life. You know, and edibles. Maybe I might be on my 10th experience of edibles in my whole life at this point.
Well, not enough
This
people.
week.
Most people want to treat it like they're trapping. You know what I mean? So again, I love talking to people and helping them learn what new things I can bring to the table for them. You know,
Now you smoke flower, dab, everything.
I
all the
prefer
above?
flower. You know, I'll do a dab now and then. You know, because I don't know, something about the taste of flower. I just, you know, especially when it tastes really great. You know, I'm very particular what I smoke
What's some of these big custom orders?
in regards to.
Like how big are they? Like what's your like go to when they come back? Like what do they order? And you said sometimes when I'm working on a custom order.
Well, a custom order can be anywhere from 5 to 100 boxes. You know what I mean? It's just that's one person's order. You know, a custom order is something I'm not doing for an event or experimenting with. You know what I mean? So if you called me up and said, "Hey, I need 5 boxes," well, that's the minimum to have something done exactly tailored the way you like it.
Now do they resell it? Or you don't care?
I don't know. I don't ask. You know what I mean? All I know is, you know what I mean? We've had the conversation. They appreciate what I have to offer, and what you do with it once it's in your hands is none of my business. You know?
Do you
Have to start dabbing in this market.
do you make everything to order, or do you have stuff on hand, or do you know? Hey, usually I go through this much of this a week of this many pieces of this type and this. So do you like bake every week? You know, to set up
I
the
bake
orders.
almost every day, or I'm in the kitchen creating or writing down on my notebook that I have at home of ideas.
Every
and
day.
things. I'm just about every day. I have an idea, or I heard something on TV, or I watch a cooking and baking show. I'm like, I can take a piece of that and use that. You know, I'm always trying to learn new things. I love it. I love experimenting. Like I tell people, when you see my Instagram, it's all the positive stuff. There may be only like 70 posts on there, but I have failed hundreds of times. You know, what I mean, nobody gets to see all that. You know, and that's part of it. You know, yeah, you get frustrated. And like I told Trevor when I met him previously, that, you know, a lot of times I'm sitting at my table and I'm scooping cookies or I'm, you know, creating something at my table and my hands hurt or I'm thinking I'm tired. I don't want to carry on. And I look at the trophies and I look at, you know, the giant article from Leaf magazine that's on my wall. And all these validations that just make me it pushes me. You know what I mean? It just sparks that passion again. You know what I mean? There have been times when I
You're
wanted
proud
to say,
you
fuck
do.
it. I'm tired. I don't want to do it today, but I know I got to get it done.
Pop down a few brownies and keep going.
But it ain't like that. Honestly, I'll smoke a little bit, and I got to keep a certain focus, you know, because baking is more of a science than anything. You know, I fuck up one ingredient, then it's not going to turn out the same exact way, and then you're going to know it, and then you might not buy my product again. You know, and consistency is key for me. So if I'm going to stop baking or doing stuff during the day, I'll take a few rips in the morning to get myself going, but I'll get my mise en place together, everything all set up for success, and I'll just bang it out. And then I'll take a break, smoke a little bit, and then bang out another round, you know?
We get you on the Bada Bloom show. With that baking show that they got coming
I
on?
actually-
lately?
Bacon
I
bad.
actually
Yeah.
did an interview on that already. You were there for that day, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did an interview with Tara.
Oh, no shit. Oh, cool.
Yeah. So they told me at some point it might be in Netflix, but who knows? That'd be cool.
Well, that's what's good about these events, kind of, because you got a lot of the legacy guys, which is not so much as a big circle as it used to once be. You know, it's a tight knit circle.
It's the way it should be.
And the legal sides at these events, and hopefully, maybe one of these times, you'll meet one of these guys that you can collab with.
It's only going to take one person. I really feel this, or a group of people that are like-minded, to see my idea, my passion, and know that it's real. Passion cannot be faked. All right? There's a bunch of fakes in our community. We can spot them in a second. There are bags on the table. There are people on their phones when you go by that don't want to give you that 5 seconds of attention. They don't want to tell you about what's in the bag. They don't have the audacity to put ingredients on the bag. You know what I mean? Because I want to know, and you should know as well.
They're the Louis Vuitton bags that you buy on the streets of Boston.
Yeah, it's
a different feel from going to the dispensary because you're just talking to a
Louis
bartender at the register. How much do they know about the product? When they see you at one of these events, bam, they're talking to the chef right there. Like you're out of the kitchen.
Everything I do is
front.
created from
The back of the house and the front of the
base
house.
ingredients. There is nothing that comes off of a shelf. There's no Cocoa Krispies, no cereals. I will never make a gummy beer. I'll never make a cereal bar. I'll never make what everybody else is doing. And that is the key, because you're going to be just like everybody else. I call it bags on the table. Everybody else does it. Why would you want to do that?
You wouldn't do it like your own cereal bar?
No.
Of everything that's not off? Like create everything right from scratch?
I feel like I'd have to make the cereal myself. You know what I mean? Everything, again, is from scratch. You know, so if I'm making a cereal, sure, I'll give it a whirl. That's correct.
Everything's scratch.
Everything. I don't make, the only thing, I don't make the chocolate chips that go in my thing, the vegan chocolate chips. But
I was just going to ask chocolate.
But other than that, everything is scratch, all scratch made.
You could.
I have a whole bedroom in my house that isn't a bedroom. It's actually a warehouse of my supplies that sit on racks. You know what I mean? I treat it like an actual restaurant, a business, the way it should be.
Where do you get most of your ingredients?
Well, you know, restaurant warehouses, you know what I mean? So I buy in bulk, and that is the only way to be able to save yourselves, you know, money.
Is that how you're cutting down on costs?
Absolutely.
Being competitive more?
Yes, you know, that's how you keep the overhead low, is to buy in as big as possible.
Because some of these, some people say that the consumers don't care in Massachusetts, and you know they can walk in these dispensaries and get fucking edibles, you know, depending on what day, for fucking pennies on the dollar almost.
Well, they're also a very poorly educated customer base. So like I told you, I mean, if somebody sees this show and stops going to a dispensary and buying those garbage gummies, I'd appreciate it. Because people like me, a small business owner, we're here to take care of you. They are corporate cannabis. They are not here for you. They're here for your money. And that's why they feed them the same bullshit over and over. You know, you right down the line from the top to the bottom. So the customer comes in there and says they're suffering from an ailment, and they give them distillate. Imagine that shit. It does nothing for them. You know, not what it needs to do. You know what I mean? They're just doing it as a money-making scheme.
Profit driven.
That's correct. Corporate cannabis isn't about, you know, taking care of people. It's taking care of them.
So I'll tell you what, all the stuff we test is from the cannabis places, a lot of it doesn't test.
The THC
I 100%
potency.
believe it. And honestly,
Remediation.
I know about the radiation. I've been preaching that for years. Once I learned about these tactics these people have been doing, I tell everybody about it, because education is the only way we're going to steer people away from these dispensaries and these horrible places that are doing everybody a disservice.
Well, education is key.
And everybody we've had on the show is saying the same message that you're saying, right? They're all about the quality, but not just quality. Is everything that we're putting out is going to be safe for you.
Yeah, consistent quality is what matters too. It isn't just quality and safety. It's got to be consistently the same. So if you got a cookie from me last year, cookie from me yesterday, and a cookie tomorrow,
Same
it will
taste.
be the same, period. All right?
Every time.
That's correct.
That's the advantage you get.
That's correct. My things are written down. I do everything myself. So, you know what I mean? It's quality control.
How do you do your packaging?
What, in regards to what exactly?
Edibles and the cookies.
Well, I do, my packaging is almost all of mine is environmentally friendly, which is important to me. Everything in
Recycle stuff.
That's correct. Everything in my package can be returned to the earth, with the exception of the O2 absorber that's inside of my packaging. I heat seal everything, with the exception of the muffins. And the plastic that all my cookies and or brownies are in is a plant-based material. So that can also be returned to the earth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Good too.
it's very important. You know, so designs of my box all mean something to me. You know, I created my box, my logo, even the colors that are in my logo all mean something to me. So there isn't anything that has to do with my company that was just thrown out there because I thought it was cool.
How did you come up with the name?
Well, honestly, the original person, her name, the baker I had hired to work with me, her name started with a K. You know, so it was a different name, Baked Confections. And when her and I parted ways, I had to kind of figure out how to use my existing materials, the KBC. I was like, how can I make it work? I was like, kindly baked. That sounds great. You know, because grass, and then kindly it's passion. You know, kindly baked confection. I was like, it just rolled off my tongue, and that's how I created that from there.
Double entendre.
Yeah. So the logo alone, like I have a chocolate chip cookie with the golden tree of life. So the chocolate chip cookie is the first thing I created by myself. So that's why I wanted that on my logo. The letters for my kindly baked confections are all red, white, and blue. It's, we're Americans. I love my country. You know what I mean? So that's why I use that. And then the tree of life. Now that's used for a couple of reasons. Now the tree of life, it shows the beginning was my roots, and the fruition is at the top. That's where I want to be, is at the top of that tree, right? But along the color, the gold that I use for the tree, back in the day, there was a guy named Red Blazer. And it wasn't that long ago that he passed, but that guy was a genius in our community, when it comes to edibles. And
what was his name?
Red Blazer.
Yeah. Red Blazer.
Yeah, man, he was a good, solid dude. And if you had known
him, his real name?
Well, his
street name. Yeah,
his name is Glenn.
I'm kidding.
Glenn. Yeah, his first name was Glenn. So he always told me that RSO and F.E.C.O was the gold standard, of medicine. And I had worked with him for a while, and I always remembered that, because the first time he gave me something, he gave me some RSO, and he told me, he goes, John, now you only take a rice grain. Now we all know that rice comes in different sizes, right? He didn't tell me which grain, so me and my girl sitting on the couch, I put some on a cracker with some peanut butter, and it was I'd say it was an arboreal rice grain.
More like a bean.
Healthy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Rob had an experience with this recently too.
Yeah, it wrecked me.
Measurements
Couldn't get out of bed for like 8 hours.
Measurements of dosage matter. I had worse. So I ate this big thing with peanut butter on a cracker. So does my girl. 30 minutes later, I was like, honey, I think I'm fucked up. There's something wrong with me. She goes, what's the matter? I go, I can't feel my legs. And it was a fact, but I was also sitting on them, and she made that known to me. And now I realized that's why I couldn't feel my legs. I was all fucked up and discombobulated.
Yeah, wrecked.
So she says to me, she goes, well, I'm glad you said something, because she goes, I can't feel my face.
Oh my God.
So,
yeah, Rob couldn't get up to get a drink.
It happens, but that's only because I did listen, but I didn't ask the right questions. You know what I mean? So when Rob would ask me, well, how much of this do I take? You're better off, honestly, working with my cookies first, so that we can have a 5 milligram portion and see where that gets you. And then you can have a little bit more.
Do you think more of the people are taking your edibles for medicinal purposes or recreational purposes?
Honestly, I don't really think of things like that. You know what I mean?
You think it's all medicine?
I think of it as a medicinal product, and that's where I gear myself towards, and I steer my business towards. You know what I mean? If recreational folks enjoy it, and I appreciate that too. You know what I mean? It just lets me know I'm doing a great job if the rec guys want it.
So is there so obviously on the business side of it, right? Your fourth year, I'm pretty sure it's grown every year. Mm-hmm. Do you forecast to be like, okay, I want to get to this number this year? And do you try to push that product out? Honestly, obviously with the same quality?
Well, my goal this year is to do 2 events on the same exact day somewhere. And it might happen in May. I'm working on, because I've already got enough booths and setup and staff, to help me. So that's my first biggest goal this year, and I think it might be able to happen. I want to do more events this year. I want to go out of state even more. I did a Connecticut event in Saturday. It was a great turnout. We had a good time. They had comedians. It was a good time, man.
Should have went to the Turp Basel. You'd have made a killing over there.
Oh, I was told if I went there, I probably would have cleared. Cleared everybody.
Oh yeah, you would have had a line.
What the hell was I just going to say?
So when you what is it? So what is a box? So what do you?
1 second. Let's
so say a box of cookies. How many comes in a box of cookies, and then how much does somebody pay for a box of cookies?
Well, on average, they're about 20 a box, and there are 5 cookies in a box. 20 milligrams per cookie times 5, 100 milligrams total. And again, if you order custom 5 or more, I can make them plus minus any milligram you ask for.
That's very inexpensive.
It actually isn't very expensive. A lot of times I get people come to my booth and like, that's it? That's all it is?
Yeah.
And then they'll just put out more money, and I appreciate that even more. It's like, I make my stuff
we're gonna have to go up on that
for
box.
Everybody. You know what I mean? Realistic, could I charge more because it's vegan, gluten-free? Absolutely. I could charge $35 for my box, and I know that fair. You know what I mean? Based upon my ingredients, because they're organic, vegan, gluten-free, everything's more expensive. but I choose to do it the way I do it because I believe in short-term games over long periods of time. Excuse me. You know what I mean? So I don't need the $100 right now, but I want $1 forever. You know?
Right. Well, $3 forever ain't too bad either.
He's tripping over the numbers here.
I'm not a numbers guy, you know. But
Don't worry, we can help you with that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to increase that to about $28 a box, dude.
I know. I'm surprised Ricky didn't chime in and say you be getting
Oh, I
30 for
was.
that
I was
box.
thinking. I was like,
What's got a delivery fee, or how far will you go? You know
that's
what I mean?
local pickup near my place over in Wilmington area. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not an event or if you don't know me, it's probably not going to happen. You know.
Oh, so people
you
got to
won't ship
drive
'em?
into close to your area.
That's correct. You know, especially if you're ordering a birthday cake, you need to come to my area because I've taken the time to create that. I don't want to transport it. I don't want to be responsible for it because once I hand that off, it's yours. You own it. You know.
yeah, but you could with the cookies though.
What's that?
You ship them.
Oh, so that gets you a whole bunch of problems and issues. I wouldn't fuck with the federal government.
No, they'll be
You know
all
what I
right.
mean?
They don't even know. As long as they don't taste them.
Rick keeps trying to get this guy paid.
Apparently, we're going to edit
Who
that all
knows?
out.
Who's gonna check the box of cookies?
Ricky, you don't do anything through the mail.
No.
Makes it federal.
That's correct. You know, I'm a local guy. You know,
Well, it seems just what you need is a business guy.
I need a money guy. I think that's a very specific term. You know, a business guy. You mean in regards to knowing the ins and outs of the cannabis business in whichever state I partake in. Yes, that's what I need. But I also need him to have some deep pockets. You know what I mean? Set me up.
No, it could explode.
But this is
Pretty
what you
good.
need to do, though, no? To be legal, so you don't have to look over your shoulder and you can actually advertise to everybody. And
I would love to.
is
be
that
able to,
the goal? That's got to be the goal.
That is my goal.
Yeah, but I'm surprised you can't find the money guy because sometimes money guys just can see your passion.
Well, like I
right?
said, I've
See
been
the
introduced
quality.
to a few different people. They've just never been the right fit. When your words to me is, I'm going to make you rich, you know what I mean? It just put a bad taste in my mouth.
Oh, not me. I'd be like,
yeah,
okay.
that sounds like a
Tell me
salesman.
more,
That
though.
sounds
Tell me
like
more.
something Ricky would come at you with.
Tell me more.
I didn't grow up super poor, but I grew up knowing what need is and wanting. You know what I mean? So from people just to throw money out, you know what I mean? That doesn't make me feel good. You know what I mean? I want to talk about my passion. You know, I talk about where my things came from, where like you did, where do I see myself going? You know, that's your first words out of your mouth. It's probably not going to work out.
Yeah, but the bottom line of things is the money.
Not for me, it isn't. Again, I'd rather be broke and just cut out what I'm doing than some guy bastardizing something I'm doing.
You need somebody to give you the keys to the castle.
I need the facility and a small facility and a small amount of cash reserve so I can buy the materials. But once I get going, I'm telling you, it's only going to grow exponentially. It really will. You know, and then the same market we can do all over the United States. You know what I mean? Again, there's nobody in the United States that's doing exactly what I'm doing. Gluten-free, vegan, and Medicaid with F.E.C.O is something special. It's a trifecta of awesomeness. So really, you know.
Have you been watching the federal marijuana?
Listen, man, if we wait for the federal government to keep doing shit and changing,
Yeah, what's your take on that?
you're going to
John?
be dead and gone. And so will I, so will my children. You know what I mean? The government doesn't care about us. It's an oligarchy run by the rich for the rich. And unfortunately, I'm not that, you know? So I don't really have a say.
You don't think the federal government's going to change either way, deschedule?
They don't give a fuck about
reschedule?
you unless it has to do with them making money and they'll just take it over just like corporate cannabis does. There'll be Marlboro of freaking marijuana everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So there's a lot of people doing bad out there, you're saying, on the market.
That's correct.
So how can a consumer find somebody from the black market and know that they can trust them? How can they?
Find me.
Just at an
Find
event.
me. Seriously, in Massachusetts, I will steer you to the right people, whether it be flower, dabs, you know, and I'm speaking to the camera on purpose because, again,
You want to talk to the people.
The message needs to get out. My message needs to get out. And I'm telling you, find the right people. You know, and you're going to know who they are. You know, and look how they act, how they represent their ingredients, you know, how they talk about their products, their passion or lack thereof. If they're on their phone, just sitting there waiting for you to come by, that's not somebody who's, you know, wanting to talk to you. You know what I mean?
Huh, that's a bozo.
No, man, I'm there to give you my time. You know what I mean? My expertise is yours. I'm not a gatekeeper. We have that. There's too many people in the gray market, in the legal market, trying to hold on to that position. They got to realize there's enough room for all of us. You know?
There is.
And
For the
everybody
right
says
product.
everybody says that on the show.
It's a free market.
Everybody. And to your point, everybody that comes on the show, they always talk about the quality. They always talk about, and I'm always like, well, you got such good quality, raise your price. And they can. They have every right to raise their price. And they're like, no, because we want it to get out to everybody.
That's correct. You know, that's why my boxes are $20 a piece. You know what I mean?
I
People are
think
impressed
you're
by
all
that.
like-
Not only the effect, but the taste, the quality, you know, the clean. You know, my
Yeah,
clean
but the other
edibles.
thing too, though, I always talk about it with everybody on the show. Maybe, yeah, you can probably get 40, right? but you're also working hard. You're doing everything right, and there's also a price for that too. And I understand the passion and stuff, but to me, I think like
it's called my
you
sweat,
have to pay $30 for the box.
My sweat equity. Again, I want that dollar forever versus the $100 right now. You know what I mean? So I want that money forever. You know, I want people.
But it can be $3 forever instead of $1.
Well, that's certainly fine too. You know what I mean? But listen, I've come a long way in the cannabis community and seen a lot of people rip people off. All right, and that's why I come from. That way, I came from that, so I don't want to see that perpetuated. All right, so that's why I give everybody a fair pricing. Period. You know what I mean? All I can do is my small pot and hope it carries on, but I can't promise everybody else is going to.
Yeah, but it's fun because everybody we have on the show, though, nobody's a gatekeeper, right? Everybody's ready like to almost show their special ingredients and like, let's go, let's do this, right? Your stuff is good. How'd you do it, right?
Well, I wouldn't give some of my techniques away, but I certainly, and I have shown people how to medicate things using F.E.C.O. You know what I mean? It's not going to. I give you the ingredients. You're never going to make my exact cookie.
Right, of course.
You know what I mean? You're not going to know where I got this coconut sugar from and this particular product and what scoop I use. And there's a lot of variables you're not going to know. But given the ingredients, you got to give people the knowledge. You know what I mean? That's what we all need.
Right. I mean, in baking, right, there's ingredients for apple pies or whatever the hell you're making, right?
Certainly.
Every apple pie tastes different.
But mine would taste different than yours.
Right.
You know what I mean? That is a fact. And not only because the cinnamon we discussed earlier, because I use that in everything, but it's just, I don't know. You know, you could feel the love or the passion in somebody's work.
Oh, yeah, yours definitely. I'd be doing mine for the money. You'd be doing yours with the love.
No.
Fact.
Well, Rob, you got anything else, Rob?
No, I have a buzz.
Rob's buzzed up.
Nice.
Rob's
Well, I
been quiet for
appreciate
the
you
past
coming
few
on.
weeks.
How do people get a hold of you again?
Well, you can go right to kindly_baked_confections or kindlybakedconfections@yahoo.com and reach out to me, and I'd be happy to get back to you. I reach out and talk to everybody who actually messages me.
You end up getting on the phone with these people and talking to them? Or
If I need to, you know, we can use Instagram, or if you need to more involved, I'd be happy to talk to people.
you don't try to verify them if it's just through...
It's, again, if it's a friend of a friend, you know what I mean? People get vetted. You know what I mean?
You card people? You know people are old enough.
I'm wise enough to be able to figure that out.
Yeah.
Honestly. You know what I mean?
Have you had to turn some fucking minors away?
No.
And get
You know,
catfished on this
Look
thing?
at me. Would you approach me and try to fuck with me, or try to buy me? I mean, kids usually know better. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I've
fucking,
never,
I grew up with some fucking dedegenerates.
Yeah, Trevor would, because he's not too bright. You know what I mean? He'd be like, hey.
We had older guys buying us booze at the
And he would tell you his
store.
age.
He just hang out outside the package store.
No, overall, the community is pretty special. And I think, honestly, you know, we have something great that we're going to just make even better, you know, if we used my standards and the other folks you've had on your show, you know.
I think that's a wrap. Episode 24. How you doing, show?
Nice.
Thank you.
No worries. I appreciate you guys having me.
Great interview.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That was pretty good.
Big buzz here.
Wake up in the morning, got a bag on my schedule. Niggas talking, bitches talking, they is not on my level. Check the time, wrist, rollie, rose gold on the bezel. Grab my keys and get my cell and hit the door with a shovel. It's time to get it out the mud, 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 out the mud. It's time to